Welcome to the next topic in our grade 8 science unit on cells. We're going to look at cell structure and function, and we're going to compare the difference and similarities between plant and animal cells. So we know cells are the building blocks of all living things. And if we look carefully inside all the different parts of an animal cell and a plant cell, it's important to note a term that comes up. All these individual parts have a general name. They're called the organelles of a cell, and they act as the machinery to help the cell function properly. So organelles. Plant and animal cells have many things in common. However, they do have 2 or 3 differences. And so, for example, if you look at the plant cell, the red part here, plant cells have a thick, rigid cell wall, making them very box-like. So the shape of most plant cells are rectangular or box-like due to the rigid, stiff cell wall that it has. They both have cell membranes. They both have these organelles called mitochondrion. Animal cells have centrioles, which help in cell division. Plant cells have chloroplasts, which animal cells do not, which is the site of photosynthesis. Both have ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, a nuclear membrane, a nucleus, chromosomes. Let's look at the vacuole because this is a big difference. In the plant cell, this vacuole is huge, whereas in an animal cell, the vacuole is very tiny. They both have Golgi apparatus, cytoplasm, and animal cells sometimes have these whip-like structures, and they're called flagella. So let's look at the cell membrane. The cell membrane's job or function is to hold the cell together, and it allows nutrients into and out of the cell. It's kind of like a fence that blocks certain things out but allows certain things in, kind of like our skin or a turtle's skin. It's the edge of the cell. It is very non-rigid, which means it can change the shape, it can increase in size or decrease in size. The cytoplasm is kind of like a jelly-like goop that holds organelles together. So the cytoplasm. The mitochondria is like the powerhouse of the cell. And this is where energy is made. They're bean-like structures. So here's a mitochondrion. And here's a mitochondrion. And this is where energy in the form of something called ATP is made. Adenosine triphosphate is an energy cell. This is the site of cellular respiration. So cellular respiration where food or glucose plus oxygen produces carbon dioxide and water. So that's where that's happening, is inside our mitochondria. The nucleus is like the brain or the control center of the cell. And in eukaryotes, which are plants and animals, they have a membrane around their nucleus, and the DNA and chromosome material is inside there, protected. Chromosomes are inside here, and this is where our DNA, which basically is a complete copy of making a whole new you, and inside DNA are genes which determine what we look like. Talked about the nuclear membrane. It surrounds the nucleus. It's kind of like the fence for the nucleus. It's protector. Vacuoles are spaces in the cytoplasm where food and water and other chemicals are stored. So food, water, and chemicals are stored. In the case of a plant, it has a very large vacuole because it stores water. So there's a big difference. Here's a vacuole for an animal cell, tiny. Here's a vacuole for a plant cell. Now, plant cells have also a second barrier or membrane called the cell wall, and it helps to make it rigid and strong. Okay. Plant cells also have chloroplasts, and chloroplasts are greenish right here, and they're the site of photosynthesis. So this is where how plants make their own food. Carbon dioxide plus water are chemically altered to make sugar and oxygen. Sugar is made plus oxygen, O2, and that's the process of photosynthesis. So what's the big difference again between the two? Well, first let's deal with a couple other types. We haven't talked about the endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum is almost like the post office of the cell, and usually what happens is there are dots on both plant and animal cells called ribosomes. The ribosomes help make proteins, which are building blocks for our bodies and plants. So once the ribosomes, which are like carpenters, they build the protein, they'll package it inside the endoplasmic reticulum just for storage. The Golgi apparatus, this is like the post office, sorry. Endoplasmic reticulum is kind of like a shop that holds it together. And so that's a quick overview of cells. I want to show you this video clip on cell structure and function.
The diagrams show a typical plant and a typical animal cell. Animal and plant cells have many parts. The nucleus contains the genetic material and controls the structure and activities of the cell. The nucleus of a cell contains chromosomes on which many genes are located. These genes control the inherited characteristics of the body, such as eye and hair color. The cell membrane surrounds the cell and controls the movement of substances in and out of the cell. The cytoplasm is made up of water and dissolved substances. Many chemical reactions take place in the cytoplasm.
And so that's a brief overview of plant and animal cells.